My name is Corey Maxfield, and this is my build. This is the Midas Casino. A friend of mine and I built this together over about a year and a half. There's probably about 25,000 pieces on here, although I haven't counted. This is not modeled after any real casino. There is a Midas Casino located in the Philippines that looks nothing like this. This was just kind of our own creation. We wanted to do something Art Deco style, kind of a 1930s, 1920s, like big band sort of casino. And so we called it the Midas because we were using so much gold on it that it just seemed like a good name. And it has a very because the sign's so large, it has a very overpowering feel to it, like it's a strong name. So, as you can see up on top, we've got a swimming pool. Every casino needs a swimming pool, especially a rooftop swimming pool. There's a bar up here. We've got kind of the drive-up entrance with the Hummer limo there with a hot tub in the back, and then this glass dome and awning out here, which is just amazing.
I want to stop here real quick on that because that's fantastic. So explain a little bit of how that came together there.
Yeah, so the guy that I was building with, he's like, oh, I want to do an awning and I want to do a dome. And I was like, you can't do a dome. It's not going to work with Lego. It won't look right. And he's like, just give me a bunch of cockpits. I'll figure it out. So some cockpits and some mixel joints later, this is what he put together, and it is amazing. When he got done, I was like, that is incredible. Like, I can't even imagine how you pulled that off. So, yeah, it's really, we get a lot of compliments on that. As we move around the back here, there's really two layers to this. There's the casino layer, which is down here, and it's got a full interior, which when it comes to conventions, one of the struggles is you want to make something big because that's what people are drawn to, but we both love doing detail work. And so being able to do detail and big takes a lot of time, but we really pulled it off. But also the downside is that you can usually only display one or two sides at a convention. And so sometimes people don't get to look inside and really appreciate everything that's going on in here. So as we look in here, there's a theater because every casino has a magic show. So there's a magician in there cutting a lady in half. All of the theater seats recline and articulate just like real theater seats do. They fold up and down. They have cup holders. And then we move through the floor, the casino floor. There's poker, craps tables, blackjack. We have slot machines and a bunch of different themes. There's a Batman slot machine, Benny Spaceship slot machine, Old West slot machine, kind of a pirate slot machine. We have the fountain. And all of the lighting in here, I don't use lighting kits. I actually solder LEDs inside of the bricks and kind of make them so I can make them my own color and whatever I want. On the fountain here, each section of the fountain is a playing card symbol. So you have your hearts, your spades, your diamonds, and your clubs.
Yeah, there's so many little details like that you don't even notice at first until you really take a long time.
Take a long look at it. What started this whole build, and I don't know if you can show this, there's a roulette wheel back here. And I had figured out that if you wedge cheese slopes in between the spokes on a wagon wheel, it looks like a roulette wheel. And once you have a roulette wheel, you need a roulette table. After you have a roulette table, you need a craps table. Then you need a blackjack table. And eventually you have a casino. So that's how we got there. On the second floor, we have a buffet because every good casino needs a buffet. So there's a buffet with, there's a dessert station, there's a carving station. We got all the meats, plenty of lobster, crab legs,
all the standards.
Everything you need. There's even a soft serve ice cream machine in there. And then at the top of this amazing staircase, there is, and I'm going to pull that out of there because that should not be in there. There's at the top of the staircase is actually the hotel lobby. So this is where you check in to go to your room at the top. And you can see there's elevators in the back. We've got a bellboy, a nice check-in desk. And this staircase, once again, the buddy that I work with, he's like, we need to put a staircase in. I'm like, there's no room. We were going to do a working escalator. We scrapped that idea. And he's like, I'll make it work. And he just built this incredible staircase. Now, the handrails on the staircase actually hold the stairs together. They wouldn't stand without them. And so the handrails hold the stairs instead of the other way around. Some other details in here that we love, the fish tank. That is behind the check-in desk. That's inspired by the Mirage Casino has an enormous fish tank behind their check-in booth, and it just looks so good. And so I wanted to make sure that we had our own fish tank in there. It's got a mermaid. It's got a little castle kind of thing in there that the fish can swim around in. And we use blue flickering LEDs in the top of the fish tank to give it that watery effect. Because as they flicker, instead of looking like a candle like they would, because they're blue, it looks like water. In the back corner here, we have, there's some sports betting. So we've got a bunch of TVs on the wall that have different sports being performed on. And what we did was we used pictures we found online of Lego people doing sports. So it's like a Lego person golfing and Lego people doing NASCAR and all that stuff. And so we've got that on there. And then there's also the vault where you can exchange your chips for money. And so that's where we got the bankers back there with the stacks and stacks of dollar bills. At the very top, we of course have a penthouse suite, and that's where we keep the speaker that keeps the music going, along with all the slot machines and stuff like that. So that's kind of, I guess, the whole of it there.
That's a fantastic, tour of the whole casino. So you've got these two main sections here, and the top building is kind of sitting at an angle on top of the other one. So is that actually studded down at all, or how does that work?
It's not. It actually sits on there. And when you look inside the casino, there's not a lot of structure under there. It looks like it's kind of floating. There's really two main pillars. But the majority of the top here is actually a web of Technic brick that we've pinned together that fit in there perfectly. And because this outside wall is too thick, but it's only one thick here, it's because the roof is actually sitting on the other half of that. And so it's mostly that web of Technic brick that is supporting the weight of this. And this weighs about 25 pounds. So every time I go to set it on, it's just, you say a prayer real quick and then set it on there and getting the angle just right. But it is just sitting on there. There's nothing really holding it there per se.
And you have a ton of gold pieces, like you mentioned at the beginning. It's all over. So those pieces aren't always easy to get in big quantities. What was that process like for you?
Yeah, so because Lego does not make any plates in gold, they make 2x2 plates, and they make 1x1 plates, and they make 1x2 jumpers. And so the majority of the gold stripes on here are 1x2 jumpers. There's about 3,000 of them, just of that one piece. Now, luckily, they're not that much. They're about 3 cents a piece on Bricklink, but I did have to order a ton of them, as well as you can see the grill bricks that make up the stripes going down the side, the teeth. It's a little expensive is what it ends up being, especially, and at the time, dark turquoise, they've started making a lot more dark turquoise now, but at the time they weren't making very much of it. And so we had to do the whole thing in 2 and 3 length dark turquoise bricks, 1x4s, 1x3s, which had its own challenges, as well as when you're using 1x2 jumpers, it means that sometimes your plates hit the middle of the jumper. And so it really kind of created some challenges in putting the whole thing together because we were so limited on our brick choice.
But you did capture that Art Deco feel nicely, so I think it was worth the investment in the parts. You've also got these reflective gold windows here as well.
Yeah, so one of the things I love, if you ever seen the Mandalay Bay, it's got gold windows and it really screams over-the-top opulence, which is what a casino needs. So what I did, and some people call this cheating, whatever you want to call it, I have a vinyl cutter. I ordered gold chrome vinyl and then cut out squares of different sizes to then paste onto the window panes. And because there's 27 windows per floor, my wife and I would just sit and watch movies and paste windows on, over and over and over again.
Arts and crafts session.
Yeah, she was very patient with me. But in the end, it really makes the whole thing pop, and you're just drawn to it because it looks so unique compared to a lot of other, skyscraper buildings and stuff like that.
So when you bring this to a show, what's the setup process like? Do you keep most of the details in there, or is that pretty time intensive getting all that set up?
Yeah, so we were about 3/4 of the way, 2/3 of the way through finishing the build when we realized it wasn't going to fit out of the door of my basement. And so what we ended up doing is the theater and pool actually detach. It comes off on its own. In fact, I can maybe quickly show you here. You can see that there is a seam right here. It goes all the way down on both sides, and then there's some Technic pins. So that piece detaches, the whole awning comes off and that detaches. The tower comes off. The sign is one solid piece that's a false front. It comes off the top. There's LEDs behind it. And then the tower comes off. So it comes into about 4 or 5 pieces. Not too many, actually. So it's always a bit of a challenge moving it around and getting it adjusted. But so far, no major accidents.
And is there any more of an interior on any of the building besides what you showed, or is there plans maybe to add anything in the future?
We've thought about building out some of the hotel rooms, but we kind of reached a point where we've got the lobby. Most hotel rooms look the same, so you could do 1 or 2. But in the end, I think we're pretty pleased with where it's at. And doing any more on the inside of this would make it heavier as well. And so keeping it kind of hollow in the middle here allows us to move it easier. So I think we've reached a point where we're done with this build. We're moving on to the next one.
That makes sense. So it's so fantastic. Thank you so much for taking us through all the details here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.